Hi friends, I missed you. Today's video is about the Old Testament. Enjoy and support if you like it. Over the past two episodes, we have seen together the history of the secret religions that were widespread in many different regions, such as Egypt, Iraq, Rome, Greece, and others. We learned that these religions were originally based on the practice of black magic. According to what the Greek magical papyri, known among archaeologists as the PGM, tell us, the followers of the mystery religions used to summon mysterious entities called the guardians and kings of the gates of heaven. They wore golden crowns and had horned faces like bulls. They were led by a higher entity known as the sun god, the one with multiple names, who possessed hidden wisdom and esoteric knowledge. He was a god of wind and water, and when he was summoned, a terrifying sound like a lion's roar would be heard. According to the descriptions in the manuscripts, he manifested in the form of a handsome young man with fiery hair, wearing a white robe and a crimson cloak, and placing upon his head a crown of fire. He appeared accompanied by 7 women whose faces were like serpents, called the Fates of Heaven. If we observe carefully, we find that the description of the god of the mystery religions is very close, almost identical, to the ancient Greek god we mentioned earlier, Phanes, the radiant golden god. According to legend, Phanes was a sun god who emerged from a sacred cosmic egg. Phanes, the hoofed one, who was created from fire still blazing beneath his feet. The bearer of light, or the flame, symbolized by the lion, with a serpent coiled around his body. In mythology, Phanes is the one who created the world and controls it. We also learned that the rituals of these religions included the offering of human sacrifices, specifically what was known as the sacred banquet. This ritual consisted of mixing human flesh or blood with bread or wine. Through the recitation of certain incantations, the human flesh or blood within the food would transform into part of the flesh and blood of the god of light, the god of black magic, who granted his worshippers, through consuming the banquet, some of his power, including healing diseases, physical health, and cellular regeneration. What is strange is that the followers of these mystery religions, despite their different nationalities and locations, were in fact worshiping a single god called Ion, or Io, meaning the eternal or immortal god, the god of all ages. They believed that all mystery gods, whether Osiris of Egypt, Tammuz of Iraq, Dionysus of Greece, or Mithra of Rome, were in fact multiple births or manifestations of the same god, Ion or Io. His summoning rituals were performed from the underworld through black magic, human sacrifice, and sacred sexual rites. The same methods mentioned in the Old Testament regarding the worshippers of Baal and their summoning of demons and seeking their aid. For this reason, the prayers and hymns used to summon the gods of the mysteries, such as Mithra or Dionysus, were addressed using the same title, Ion or Io. In the PGM papyri, containing Egyptian summoning rituals, he was called the god Io. We also find in the PGM manuscripts that during invocation prayers, words containing sounds like I, E-I, ear, or A-O were elongated or stretched as a form of reverence for the letters that made up the name of the god Io. In short, the god Io was the true god of all mystery religions, invoked under different names such as Dionysus, Tammuz, or Mithra. What is also strange is that the name Io is very close to the famous horned Sumerian god Ea, also known as Enki. The god Ea was also a god of wind and water, and was accompanied by entities wearing horned crowns who came from the heavens to rule humanity. The Anunnaki, or the Watchers, lords of fire, and bearers of glowing torches. The descriptions of these Sumerian entities are very close to the descriptions of the kings of the gates of heaven, who were summoned alongside the god Io in the mystery religions. The greatest surprise regarding the god Io is conveyed to us by the 4th century Latin historian Marcianus Capella in his book De Nuptiis Philologiae. He tells us that the name Io was merely a common title used by the followers of the mystery religions to refer to the same ancient deity, the god worshipped by the Israelites in ancient times, Baal of the Phoenicians, or the Greek Kronos, who is Saturn or Satan in Roman tradition. He was the sun god who lived a long life, the old god who conquered time and renewed his youth by consuming human flesh, especially children. That is why the god Io was depicted with a serpent coiled around his body, or even depicted as a serpent himself, as a symbol of renewing his youth and shedding his skin continuously. In truth, the worship of the serpent god Io, with his many names and ever-changing skin, was astonishingly widespread in ancient civilizations among all groups practicing black magic, who later came to be known as the followers of mystery religions. Civilizations rose and fell, religions changed, yet the same deity, Io or Seth, remained, waiting until the appointed time. Thus, the followers of the mystery religions were in fact worshiping the god Baal or Satan, the sun god with multiple names. That is why all the mystery gods carried the same symbols. They were sun gods, and they all bore the symbol of the solar cross. Osiris's symbol was the Ankh cross, Tammuz's symbol was the Tau cross, and the cross also appears in the carvings of Dionysian and Mithraic worship in various forms, all manifestations of the same cross, the cross of Baal or Satan. With the Greek and Roman entry into Egypt, the mystery religions and the worship of the god Io, who was Baal or Satan himself, spread widely, especially in the city of Alexandria, which became a major center for the worship of Io. This may explain the survival of a colloquial expression still used today by the people of Alexandria when expressing admiration or surprise, a word very close to the name of the god Io. The church father and 4th century ecclesiastical historian Epiphanius of Salamis tells us in his book Panarion that the worshippers of Io celebrated his birth on January 6th in a temple called Corion in Alexandria. He says that after staying up all night singing songs and music while chanting for their idol, when the rooster crowed, they descended with lights into an underground chamber. They carried a naked wooden image of the god Io, lying on a bier, with the mark of the cross on his forehead and 4 other crosses on his hands and feet. They then carried the statue and circled the temple 7 times before descending with it underground, again in joy and celebration, reciting prayers and hymns, proclaiming that on this day and at this hour, the god Io was born with the rising of the sun. Epiphanius also states that he witnessed the same rituals in Petra, in Jordan, and in the city of Eleusis in Greece. His testimony gives us an idea of how widespread the mystery religions and the practice of black magic were in the ancient world, and it shows that the solar cross was indeed associated with the worship of the god Io. This confirms that the god Io was nothing but a new guise or name for the Roman god Satan or Baal. When Christianity began entering Rome, the mystery religions such as Orphism, Dionysianism, and especially Mithraism were widespread throughout the empire. Early Christians attempted to draw parallels between Christianity and these religions, so that Christianity could replace them or at least gain similar status and respect within Roman society. As a result, some mystery religion rituals were incorporated into Christianity to help it integrate more easily and attract followers of other religions. These rituals remained within Christianity to this day. Even though they are publicly known, they still retain their old name, the Mysteries, now called the Mysteries of the Church. At the head of the rituals transferred from the mystery religions into Christianity is the ritual of the Eucharist or communion, eating the flesh of the God and drinking his blood. Church members believe that through the recitation of certain prayers and invocations over the bread and red wine, the bread becomes the flesh of Jesus, and the wine becomes his blood, literally or symbolically. There is no clearer expression of this belief than the statement found in the memoirs of Father Bishoy Kamel in his book Father Bishoy, the Bearer of the Cross, presented by Pope Shenouda III. He recounts performing the liturgy and says verbatim, "I held God in my hands and ate him." Church priests recite prayers resembling the summoning or invocation rituals practiced by the worshippers of Mithra or Dionysus, but this time to summon the Spirit of Jesus to dwell within the bread and wine. Church members believe that by eating the bread and drinking the wine, they unite with Jesus, receive blessing, salvation, and acquire his power of resurrection and eternal life, exactly as the worshippers of Dionysus and Mithra believed. Only the names changed, from the Mass of Mithra to the Mass of Jesus. We also find that priests still draw the solar cross on the communion bread, just as it was drawn on the bread of the Roman god Mithra and the bread of Baal, the horned Phoenician god. Despite the fact that the original Greek versions of the Gospels state that Jesus was crucified on a stauros or xylon, meaning a stake or a single piece of wood, the new converts to Christianity from the mystery religions insisted on making Jesus' cross in the form of two intersecting pieces, resembling the shared symbol of the mystery gods, the cross of Io, Baal, or Satan. That is why the intersecting cross appears in civilizations far older than Christianity, and in religions completely different from it. It is always found in civilizations that practiced secret magic and worshipped the multi-named sun god. Thus, we conclude the third part, and we will meet soon, God willing, in the fourth and final part of the series, Those Who Ate the God. Yeah,